Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I have Gerard Jabaley. Hey, Gerard.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, Cynthia.
You had an exciting day so far?
So far.
It's going to get better.
Yeah, well, only half a day today.
Well, yes, number one, it's Friday. Number two, we have half a day here at the conference. We're almost finished with this conference. But this is one of the most important topics of this conference, and I'm so proud of you for tackling this.
It's a challenging topic.
It's a challenging topic, and it's something we're all dealing with right now because never before have we lived in such a divided culture politically, and it's spilling over into our workplace. And with us today, Gerard is going to discuss some things we can do because Election Day is Tuesday, and it's only going to get worse, Gerard.
Well, we were just talking before we went online about the negative ads for the race here in Tennessee.
I know.
So you have Marsha Blackburn, you got former Governor Bredesen, both well-respected
They are.
politicians. But
Both very accomplished.
Yes, and then you read the ads and wonder why they're not both in prison. It's
so true.
It's so toxic.
It is.
And, it's easy for us, and of course our president adds fuel to the fire. We know that because that's his style.
That's his style.
So it is very quick to come to the conclusion has it ever been this bad before? And
I don't remember it.
I believe it has been. But
well, maybe before TV.
But let me tell you exactly. But see, I think it's more pronounced now because of the 24/7 news cycle.
Right.
And because we're bombarded with everything daily. I think that is different. But if we go all the way back, President Nixon is one of the people I'm going to reference in my talk later today.
Oh.
And he
another controversial topic.
Yes. Well, and he campaigned on the sharp divides in our country at the time, and he's the one, he made this comment. We can't learn from one another until we stop shouting at one another, until we speak quietly enough so that our words can be heard as well as our voices. Yet he did campaign and use that divide to his advantage. But so even people with some flaws can say some things that make sense. But you think back in that time of 1968, we started off the year with the Tet Offensive. And by June of that year, Martin Luther King had been assassinated.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Kennedy had been assassinated.
Yeah. So we have had disruptive culture before. This is not the first time. And we forget that this is not an anomaly. This has happened before, and we got through it somehow.
I think it's more pronounced now, again, because of the news. And it's always there.
Or cable TV.
Electronically, yes.
I don't remember in 1968 watching TV as much as we do now.
Well, we didn't have a phone that we could swipe back and see the news stories of the day either.
Yes, that's right. And you get alerts on your phone. Yeah, that keeps it going. So Tuesday may be a disruptive day in the workplace.
Tuesday will be disruptive. And I think
either way it goes.
No matter how it goes. And then we're going to see that from Tuesday forward, we're going to deal with this till 2020 because all of the
till the next election, and whoever loses is going to be angry.
Yes, so I think Tuesday could be a challenging day because of the conversations that may occur in our workplaces. But then we're going to have this rhetoric that we've had the last several weeks over the midterm elections for an extended period of time.
That's so true. I want to give a shout out to Steve McNeese who just joined us. Hey, Steve, so glad you joined us. Steve is in Florida.
Oh, good. I wish I was.
And we have Ross Harris joining us. Well, a lot of folks aren't showing up yet, but thanks so much. Be sure and write your comments in the comment box. Join in the conversation. So Tuesday, first I want to share an incident that Charles and I had recently. We were in Savannah, Georgia at a conference having dinner in a bar. And usually you can ask to change stations. And we just asked if we could be on news station. No particular one. And they said, oh, no way, because we don't want to get into a bar fight if somebody's watching the news and people are so inflamed these days. We don't want to take a chance. So they said, we'll put it on the movie channel for you if you like. So we watched a black and white movie during dinner instead of watching the news.
Historically.
But how bad is that?
No, it's ridiculous. But it is a sign of our times. So, we always heard about religion and politics. Don't talk about that. Right. But now we can't talk about bathrooms. We can't talk about immigration. We have school and church shootings. So we have all these we can't talk about sexual harassment. So we have all these very challenging topics and issues that do need to be discussed.
And CHROs are struggling with this in the workplace because you're getting constant complaints from employees and managers who can't manage their people. And there will be physical fights in the workplace Tuesday or probably Wednesday.
It's possible. And one of the problems is people don't listen. People want to express their views
but they don't want to hear yours.
That's true. And on these very hot button topics, these are very passionately held positions that people are taking. Right. But I go back to St. James. When he was writing to the Jewish Christians almost 2,000 years ago, he told them, be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger.
Oh,
and that's just very so practical New Testament wisdom.
Oh, so appropriate to hear you say that.
And those are all things, of course, I struggle with. But
all of us do.
It is hard to have an open mind when you have a very passionate position. And when I first was assigned this topic, and I was trying to think, okay, how are we going to tackle this without one doing what we're trying not to, and that's offend one another in civil discourse? That's what I came up with. One of the things we're missing is the ability to civilly have discourse on these issues. What we have is a lot of yelling, finger pointing, and unkind tones, as we've seen in the election campaigns.
Exactly. People can't just have a conversation. They get angry. Mm-hmm. I don't want to know your opinion. I want you to know my opinion. That's all I care about.
And if we don't disagree with those opinions, then somehow we're racist or sexist or somehow.
You get labeled.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so unfair. But I don't think people brought it to the workplace like they're doing today.
I don't either. But
a good idea would be for everybody to close the office on election day. But of course, production stops, so we can't do that.
Well, the problem is that's one of the problems. How are we going to manage in our workplaces the ability for people to have conversations about the events of the day, yet do it civilly, do it respectfully? So what I think the challenge for employers is to, believe it or not, reintroduce civility in the workplace and get your people to engage, and let's establish what some core values are for our companies.
And ground rules.
Yes, ground rules for a change. And then what's really challenging for the managers and supervisors, how am I going to stop a conversation heading in the wrong direction?
Right. What do you suggest? I hope you have some suggestions.
Well,
jump in front of them. Get in the middle.
I think it comes
down.
No,
I'm kidding. That's not the
It certainly comes down to a leadership. There has to be leaders matter. So if leaders are appropriately interacting when they're discussing these topics, then others can learn from that. And, differences of opinion are not misconduct. But as we often say to my second daughter, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. And that's the part. It's not necessarily the words that people are using, but sometimes it's how they're saying it. And when emotions escalate, then we can have problems.
Yes. So when these two people are brought into the HR department, because that's what managers do.
Right.
They don't want to manage. They don't want conflict. So they'll bring these two or three or four gang, maybe, you don't know, into the HR department for you to handle. So how do HR people handle this situation? Let everybody go home and cool off?
I don't think so.
You don't?
I'm not a safe place kind of guy. I think we have to be able to get people to know that they can express themselves, but they must be civil and they must be respectful to one another. If we have come to a point where we have to let people go home because it's an election cycle, you remember back when Trump got elected, people wanted time off from school so they could adjust and adapt to that shocking news. I'm not sure.
You're right. I forgot about that.
I'm not sure that's the answer when we're dealing with these kind of topics. So I think the challenge for employers is, how am I going to help establish in my workplace civility rules?
Right. And do we have time between now and next Tuesday?
Well, no. But as I told you before we came online, next Tuesday is just the end of the midterms. Then we're going to get into the beginning. Then we're going to get into the presidential election, and we'll start hearing this for the next almost 2 years.
So true.
So it's not too late to start thinking about what things might I be able to implement in my workplace to address some of these issues and keep them from becoming issues as far as just discourse.
Well, most companies have policies. Do not talk about religion. Politics is another one. And you know what else? Sports. You know, people get very excited about the World Series, right, Steve? And they also get excited about their football teams. Even Friday night football has become disruptive.
Well, look at what's going on in the NFL. That's another topic that's very challenging. You know, these pregame rituals. Who should participate? How should they participate?
A knee. And I heard today that one of the cheerleaders in the NFL took a knee. That's the first time. Did you hear that?
I did not.
Wow. Now the cheerleaders are getting involved in politics on the field.
And
oh, my goodness.
So, but again, we live in a free country, so people have the right.
And we don't want to take that away.
We can't take that away, or we'll stop being free. But what we have to be able to do is absorb opinions that are contrary to our own. Okay, can we comment? Of course we can. Should we? Yes. I don't think we should ever be silent.
No. In
the face of adversity, but it's a matter of, can we respectfully have these conversations and actually effectuate some change in. We don't want the yelling back and forth, and we don't want the kind of negativity we've seen the last couple of weeks in the races here in Tennessee.
But this might be a good place to also interject. The First Amendment right does not necessarily apply to private businesses. I've had so many employees come in when you're chastising them about their language or speaking inappropriately in the workplace. No, I have my First Amendment rights. I can say whatever I want to. And that is not correct in the workplace.
No, well, I mean, obviously employers are allowed to have rules of behavioral rules,
well, of course,
disciplinary rules of what's allowed and not allowed. It's really hard to stop people from talking in the break room, however, and on the production floors and in the parking lots.
And what about wearing the T-shirts to work with political images?
Well, that's a matter of dress code, right? An employer may or may not have a dress code. And then,
but if you don't, this is a good time to implement one.
Yes, if you don't, and I think this goes with so many other things we have to do in our workplaces. When issues arise, what do? We try and implement appropriate, effective policies, and then we train our people to help them know these are the core values.
Well, I hope you train them instead of just saying, "Here's the handbook, here's our policy, and back to work, everyone."
Yeah. So we got to manage.
You got to take the time to train.
I agree. And so we have to manage, counsel, and when appropriate, discipline.
Yes.
When these issues arise.
Yes. Fantastic.
So I agree with you.
Yes. Thank you. Well,
thank you.
Everyone, Tuesday's coming pretty quickly now. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that some of these tips that you have given us, Gerard, will be helpful. You can go back and see this recording. But let's be civil and let's understand that everyone has opinions, don't we, Gerard?
We do.
I might not agree with yours.
But we ought to be able to discuss them.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the workplace is not a place to cause trouble. I mean, let's all appreciate that we live in a country where we can express our views.
Yes.
And I'm not wrong and you're not wrong.
We just disagree.
We just disagree.
So that old saying, agree to disagree, really has merit if we can hear diverse opinions from our own, but not get outraged and not acting appropriately in response.
It maybe be a good idea for HR to issue some communication before the election. Here's our workplace civility rules. What do you think of that?
If they have them in place.
Yeah.
But I don't know which employers may or may not have these issues arise, but I do think, given what's been going on and all these really tough topics that we're dealing with and the political chaos that we're seeing, if employers don't have civility guidelines or policies, it's a good time to look at it.
They're going to be in trouble Tuesday or Wednesday.
And then again, all the way through to the next term elections.
It's just beginning. We will have a few more years of this, and maybe more, because this is unfortunately become the culture of our country right now. And maybe we've always been this divided. I mean, that was great information from Nixon's era. I had forgotten
We
that.
forget, but I do.
We do.
Again, I
This
think
is really nothing new.
I think it's the news cycle. We've been
it
divided
is the news
before,
cycle. Mhm.
and we'll always have division of opinion on some of these issues. But we got to find.
Oh, exactly. Hey there, Lindsay has joined us. If anyone would like to share a comment, there is a little box in the lower right-hand corner where you can share your feelings, your comments. Anyone have some suggestions? We'd love to hear from you.
Be good to know what other people are doing to help.
Exactly.
Those that haven't established policies yet.
And if someone's doing something special to stop the political discourse in the workplace, we'd love to hear from you and how that's working. And hopefully things will not be as bad as we think they're going to be, Gerard.
I hope not. I think it's going to be challenging.
It's going to be challenging, whichever candidates win. It doesn't matter who wins, it'll still be challenging.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And then who take, whether there's a shift in power in the Senate and Congress is obviously what these midterms are about.
That's right. That's right. So I hope everyone can deal with the situation. Take some time now, put some thought into it, especially those of you who are in the HR department, and figure out the scenarios. If this happens, we'll handle it this way. And you do need to go ahead, I think, and publish those policies that you have about sharing politics, religion, and other issues in the workplace, and just try to keep a civil environment out there.
Good luck.
Good luck, everyone. Thanks so much, and we will be back with our last interview in about an hour. And thanks for joining us, and good luck on Election Day.